Changing minds one thought at a time.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Minds Online Sunday Inspirational Call. How are you doing today, Jessica?
I am doing awesome, Akina. It has been a fantastic weekend. Lots and lots of amazing things going on. We're working on some really great things for our audience. And I know that there is a lot going on for you in your life. You've had a lot of changes recently, haven't you?
Yes. I actually, as of this week, became a resident of Tennessee. I moved back home to be closer to family and do more things in the community. And, of course, I've had my father for 2 months, and Wednesday he goes back to Texas, so that's going to be interesting. You know, you get used to somebody after 2 months. And, you know, that's why we're talking about change is good because, you know, both of us, we have really went through a lot of changes in the past couple of months. And then, of course, Changing Minds Online is going through changes. And we're all going in the upward mobility. We're really trying to strive for greatness, and we're getting closer to our greater self. Don't you agree, Jessica?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that Jim Rohn said, you know, the late Jim Rohn, I love him. I think one of the great things about being such an amazing mentor like he is just leaving that legacy where, you know, having obviously never met him, but being still considering him a mentor, even though he's no longer with us. But one of the things he always said is if you want to see a change in your life, you have to make a change. If you want to see a change, you have to make a change. And for us, you know, about Changing Minds Online, Akina and I started off on this journey because we wanted to change our lives. You know, we met on a Facebook event. We got connected. We both said we were on the path of making our lives better. And in order to really create a radical change in your life, you have to be willing to do really different things. And, you know that if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result. So it's really about taking things in a whole new direction. Now, I know that there's many people listening to this podcast tonight who are listening to this because you want to make a change, right? Obviously, you're sitting here saying, hey, I want to make my life better. You wouldn't be listening to the podcast. You know, tonight, and we've talked about this before, but we really want to reinforce tonight how important it is if you want to change your life that you have to be open and willing to change what you're doing, what your circumstances are, what your stories are around particular situations. That's really going to be the only way that you wind up seeing the results that you want to see. You know, in the past couple months, and myself, I changed my job of 8 years. I changed the apartment I lived in, the state I lived in, you know, and I did all these things mostly because I knew had I not done that, I would have been making excuses forever about why I wouldn't ultimately see my dreams come true. And so many people are sitting here in a situation, and you're telling me, I want to do really fabulous things, but I can't. I just don't have the time. Or I want to do great things, but, and fill in the blank, right? If you don't change your situation, you'll always be telling that story. And for me, for Akina, what we wanted to do was create a different story, and we did so by really changing our lives. So, Akina, you know, why don't you go into some detail? Because I know I've done this before. We did a podcast actually after I moved. This was a couple months back called Embracing Change. So you can go back if you really want to learn more about change and listen to that one as well. And I really talked about what prompted me to pick up and change my life, to move from one state to the next, to give up a secure job and to start a new career. Akina, what is it for you that prompted you to do that, you know, right after I did?
Well, my journey, I guess it really started once I moved to Colorado. You know, it was kind of a longing. I knew that I needed to do it to grow, but I still needed to have that family unit around. And, you know, after I moved to Colorado, then I moved to California, then I moved to Huntsville. And during all of these years, it accumulated about 12 years altogether. in my growth journey, I realized that, yes, I needed to be away so that I could be the person that I was supposed to become. And each step brought me closer to learning me and learning who I was and learning what was inside me that I didn't believe that I had, because I always had that support system, I always had a fallback. Well, when I went away, I didn't have that security net. I didn't have that fallback. I had to make it do what it needed to do. And it made me a stronger person, and it made me well-rounded, but it was still that longing that, okay, you know, I am family-oriented, and when a family-oriented person doesn't have that family around, you feel like something is missing, like there's a hole. Even though you are growing, you still have that little hole. And I was in Huntsville, and everything was going well. Changing Minds Online was expanding. My job was expanding. You know, everything was going in the right path except for having my family unit. And you get to a point where empowerment needs to be well-rounded as well as just your career or just, you know, your personal. Everything needs to be well-rounded. And in order for you to get to a point of productivity and a point of wholeness, you have to have all of your pieces. And I was at a point where I was stable in all of my other areas, and I was like, if I'm going to be the person I really need to be, I need to be in the environment that I need to be in. And I had did the growth, I did the transformation that I needed to as far as learning me and being me. But now it's time for me to be whole and secure and with the rest of me, which is, you know, the family-oriented piece. And so it really hit ahead in February when my grandmother left, and I wasn't here with the rest of my family. And, you know, they were all together, able to mourn, and I was in Huntsville alone. And that's when it was the pivotal point where I was like, look, you know, there's no reason for me to be here. You know, everything that I'm doing, I can do anywhere. There's no reason for me to be here when I should be with my family during this time. I came back up here for the funeral, went and looked at an apartment, fell in love with it, picked it out, and that was the journey to me being where I needed to be to complete my journey. And ever since I made that decision, opportunities have been coming up. Changes have been coming up. I've been feeling closer to my greater. I've been feeling solid. You know, it's sometimes that one little thing, you change just the needle just a little bit, and everything goes in the right direction. And that's what this did for me. It was just that one needle, just moving 1 hour and an hour and a half away, just changed my whole world completely. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to be everywhere I need to be, doing everything I need to be, so that I can be the person that I need to be to encourage, empower, and inspire others. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I only moved 30 minutes from where I was living before, but it was such a cleansing and clearing process. See, here's the thing. You know, I know that most of the people who are listening to this call tonight are going to do the personal development, and they're going to do the work, and they're going to make that energetic shift in their mindset, but most people are never actually going to change anything in their lives because you're not going to take action. You're going to know it in your head. You may even feel it in your heart, but you're not going to do anything about it. And I wish that weren't true. I wish I can say that everyone listening to this is going to get it and go do something about it. But most of you won't. And the truth is, It's because, and I got this from Jeffrey Combs, another mentor of mine, you become comfortably uncomfortable. And that's the state that I was in, the state that Akina was in. And that's when, you get used to everything being okay, but not really great. And you're afraid of what would happen, that things wouldn't be okay anymore if you picked things up and left. But you're settling, and you're settling knowing that things are always going to be okay, but they're never going to be great. They're never going to be wonderful. And we do that because our bodies are conditioned to stay the same. Our brain is conditioned to avoid pain. And so it's not necessarily your fault, that you want to be safe, that you want to be comfortable. But the truth is, if you never risk being uncomfortable and be willing to take that step out and make that change, nothing's ever going to change in your life. And all of your dreams will only ever be dreams if that's the decision you take. For me, to move to another state, for me, and I moved to a house before closing on the house, and I was fortunate to be able to do so. And it's been a process, right? There's been problems, and I quit a job, and I am now in, still a probationary period of a new job and a new career, and I am my certifications to teach in New Jersey, and I'm currently teaching now. They're pending. I haven't even gotten them yet, and there's a risk involved, right? There's a risk the certifications won't go through. There's a risk something's going to fall through with the house. But I just acted in faith, knowing that I have made a declaration about changing my life and about doing great things. And at the time, this is what I saw as the best step forward. And here's the other thing about it, is that oftentimes when we want to change our lives, we must forgive ourselves for past mistakes. Now, I don't care who you are. At some point in your life, you fell down and made a mistake. I know that I have. And the problem is, if you stay surrounded in the same environment, the same settings, the same people, in the same situations, those things are going to come up more and more and more again. It's going to be more difficult to let go. It's going to be more difficult to forgive yourself. And the question really becomes is, how do you create a new story when you're in the same book? Right? So for me and for Akina, and when we closed this chapter of our lives, we decided to create a whole new story. For me, it was limiting beliefs around money, and that was the big thing that I needed to fix and change in my life. When I was younger, I was phenomenal at creating money, and I'm phenomenal at creating money now, because that's the story that I'm choosing to create now. But I was very, very good at creating money. I got my first job when I was 12 years old. I was working at a pizza restaurant for 4 hours a day, $4 a week for $4 an hour. I was making $16 a day, and I put all that money away. And, I worked at A&P, and I worked at pizza restaurants, and I was saving all of that money. By the time I was 16 years old, even prior to driving, I was managing a real estate office. By the time I was in college, I was making over $40 an hour. This is in 2006, working part-time at 19 years old. Most adults don't make that today. And I was making that at 19, working part-time in college. So I was great at creating money, but I got into a situation in my early 20s or my mid-20s where I got myself into a lot of debt. I made some poor choices, and I had created this story that I wasn't. And because I created that story, I started to lose income. I started to have more debt, and I wound up just focusing on the situation. And I'm sure other people can relate, and I'm being open and vulnerable and sharing, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? But there were nights where I couldn't sleep, and I was still worried about, paying my bills and where my money would come from. And the more I worried about it, the less money I seemed to have. And for a long time, changing my story around money was a really important part of my personal growth process, because I would do these things that were really successful. I changed my health. I changed everything, and I wasn't really able to change that. And here's the thing that I knew. If I stayed living in the same apartment, if I stayed in the same job, in the same neighborhood, that all of these things were triggering up those memories and that were really provoking me to create that story. And I knew, excuse me, guys, if I really wanted to change my life, that I needed to change my physical environment. And I needed to start on a whole new journey, a whole new chapter. I needed to start fresh. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Please bear with me tonight, guys. I'm recovering from a chest cold, but I wanted to be able to get through this for you. But I knew that I needed to change my situation. That was the only way to really move on with my life. And I felt like it was like this moment of clarity where when I was in this new place and in this new environment with new people, I got to create a new story. I started fresh. And for me, that's what gave me the power to do it. Akina, why don't you take over for a while? I'm going to need to take a rest from talking for a moment. I apologize, guys, for losing my voice tonight.
Yes, I feel the exact same way, It's hard sometimes to sit there and look at your situation and realize that, it's going to take time. It's going to take energy. It's going to take finances to make it different. But you know what? In the long run, it's worth it. A small sacrifice today ends up being a lifetime worth of abundance. A lot of times when a situation is happening, we only see the situation. We can't see past the situation. What makes it better is when we learn how to see past the trees, as they say. A lot of people say you can't see the forest for the trees. Well, we have to learn how to see past the trees and see the forest, because the forest is the destination. We're just seeing the obstacle, which is the tree. That's the thing we're focused on. We're just thinking about the event that's happening right at that time. And that is just an obstacle. That is just something to take your mind off of the main goal. But you have to have what is called tunnel vision. You have to think about only the destination and think about, okay, this is just a time that is going to happen, that is going to strengthen me so that I can get to my next level, which is the destination. And, sometimes with change, it is scary. But guess what? You have to step out there on faith and make it happen, because you deserve everything that is going to happen in your life. You deserve all the positivity. You deserve all the abundance. You deserve all of these things. But you have to go get them. Opportunity does not come to your house, knock on your door, and tell you to come on out here and come get me. No, you have to walk into the door. It will open it, but it will not make you walk into it. You have to be ready at all times, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come. You never know when that door is going to open, when that window is going to open. You got to be ready to walk through the door, and you got to be ready to climb through the window. Because, truth be told, that one time that you say no may have been the one moment that was going to change your life for the better. That one time you didn't step out on faith was your open door to your destiny. And, Jessica just said, some people may not ever step out there on faith. You may not ever go out there and make that change. They may not ever take that action. But don't let that somebody be you. Be prepared to make that action. Realize that you are the one that is ready, willing, able, and worthy of the action that's going to get you to the destination. Don't let that somebody who is never going to step out there, never going to do anything, never going to be in their abundance, don't let that person be you.
Yeah, absolutely. What we really want to emphasize tonight in our call is you can do all the personal growth that you want. You can read all the books and attend all the seminars and all the webinars, listen to all the podcasts and do all the meditations and all the, the great things that we talk about and all the great things that people do to make their lives better. But if they don't actually take action, it's all in vain. you need to invest in yourself, but we all invest in ourselves. It's our best investment. And Keenan and I invest in ourselves every day. I have time every single day that I set aside for personal growth. And the time is sacred to me. Nothing takes from that time. When a business thing comes up, either for Changing Minds Online or one of my other home businesses, because I have other businesses I run, or whether or not it's my full-time job, or whether or not it's running or a family emergency, no matter what, I put in the time for my personal growth. It's my first priority, because I know that, working on myself is just the only way where I'm going to really achieve my dreams and be successful. That is so important and so crucial. But at the end of the day, it can't all be theory. These are not just nice ideas. When we say to make envision boards and intention lists and to go after them and to visualize yourself doing it, it's not just going there in the mind, it's going there in the body too, right? Imagine, when we first started Changing Minds Online, and this was going back a little over a year ago now, I remember talking about my dream was to run a marathon. And I talked about it on the show, right? I made it public. I said, this is what I'm going to do. Well, I didn't just say I was going to run a marathon, right? I signed up for races. I started training. I got books on it. I started learning about it. But then I actually went and did it. I got off my butt, and in the mornings and at 5 o'clock I would get up and I would run before work and I would run after work, and I started to actually do the things that I needed to do to make it happen. And look at what happened now. Now I'm not talking about running marathons anymore. I'm declaring running 30 marathons by my 30th birthday. I'm doing a stage race, a 184-mile stage race. It's 7 marathons, 7 days, in 7 states. I'm looking at now ultra marathons. Well, I'm doing all of these things because I took action. I would have just put pictures of, people running on my wall, which I did, and listen to affirmations, which I did, and read books about runners that inspired me, which I did. Well, if I would have done all of those things but never actually signed up for a race, I would not be a marathon runner, right? Looking at pictures of marathon runners on my wall and listening to their audio tapes and podcasts and reading their books, that didn't make me a runner. It made me a runner when I crossed the finish line. And that's what I want to tell you tonight. If you want to make your life better, if you want things to be different, it's not just making the list and the boards and the meditation, but it's doing something about it. You have to do something about it. And that's really what we want to leave you with.
Yes, sometimes, you have to reach inside yourself and realize that you're worthy. Everybody could tell you that you're worthy, but if you don't believe it, then those are just idle words. You need to know that you are worthy of every dream that you can dream. We just have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. And you have to make it happen for you, because when it happens for you and you put in the work, you will appreciate it more than if somebody just hands you the dream. You don't want it to be handed. You want to cultivate it. You want to create it. You want to be the reason why it happened. Because you'll appreciate it more. And you'll know that you did that. You were able to accomplish that. When you may have not even believed you had it in you, you accomplished your dreams. You accomplished your purpose, and you are living in your passion. Can you imagine that feeling? That's where me and Jessica are right now. She's on the way to running her Ironman. I'm on the way to doing great things in education, and we're both on the way to building great things in empowerment for women. And that's because we believe in ourselves. We know we can do it. And we know that we were meant to give back to other people. Because we know what our purpose is. And we want you to have that same feeling too. We want you to know what your purpose is. We want you to know that you can see us doing it. And if we can do it, you can do it too. We're just regular people. If we can do it, you can do it. And we believe in you. We're here to support you. That's why we do these podcasts. That's why we wrote the affirmation gratitude journal so that you would have the support you need to move to your next level. We are here for you. So, Jessica, we're growing close to the end of the hour. Do you have any closing words?
I think, like I said, we really just want to emphasize tonight is that you are capable of creating anything that you want, but in order to do so, you need to take a step out and make a change. Don't think you can stay where you are and expect the world around you to change. If you want to change in your world, you have to first change yourself, change your heart and change your mind, but then change your life. And that part is the most scary part, but it's the only part that's going to really get you to success. So, on that note, we're going to end our call a couple minutes early tonight. We always end our call the same way and let you know we love you. We're so grateful that you allow us to be part of your journey in changing your mind and changing your life. We wish you to make it a really, really powerful week. We declare that over you, that you're going to make it a really powerful week. And, we look forward to being with you on our Thursday night Empowering Women series. Akina, I know, would you like to just share with everyone where we've moved all of our calls to if they want to listen to a recording of this call?
Oh, most definitely. Of course, you can go to Change Your Minds Online and see all of our archives. You can also go to iTunes. You can go to YouTube and, of course, Blog Talk Radio.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, guys, we love you. God bless. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Good night, everyone.